Hey everyone, this is Paul Gale from paulgalenetwork.com, and thank you for joining me today for video game news. It is December 2nd, 2021, and these are the top stories of the day. To kick things off, since it is December 2nd, that means we've got 7 days to go to the Game Awards, and I am pumped. I've expressed my interest in the show for the last few months. Just a few days ago, I talked about my conversation on the phone through Twitter Spaces with Jeff Keighley regarding some anniversary celebrations being present at the show, and the likelihood of something getting celebrated in some capacity is greater for series that have some type of number anniversary followed by something relevant to show. My speculation goes into Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild successor, sequel territory, Metroid Prime 4 territory. But there's a lot, there are a lot of anniversaries, games turning 35, franchises turning 35 this year or next, plenty turning 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, even a couple of fives in there. But really, I think that 10 to 35 category, even 40, when you want to look at Donkey Kong and stuff, there's a lot that could be shown. So that's a small tease. I talked about that before. What I'm here today, though, what I'm intending to do today, though, is show you a little bit of what's new on the Game Awards side. What are some of the reasons why you should get hyped? Because Jeff updates his Twitter often. I follow him, but you might not, so I'm bringing the information to you. We've got a look at the orchestra rehearsals. Okay, nothing too exciting from the image, but still good to see. Voting is now live for Player's Voice category. 30 nominees, which will move on. You could go over to thegameawards.com and vote if you are interested. We've got another cool announcement this morning. Imagine Dragons will be back at the Game Awards. They were there, as Jeff says here, in 2014, which was pretty cool. And we've had Imagine Dragons team up with them. We had them play a song. We had Legend of Zelda crossover. That was pretty exciting. They're going to be back. They're going to play something else. It's not known yet publicly what, but could it be Nintendo related again? Something completely different? Hard to say, but still pretty fun. I'm looking forward to it. And then we have another big one. Reggie is going to be present. Reggie served Nintendo very well as their North American president for a number of years. Stepped down a couple of years ago. Mr. Doug Bowser took place, which is awesome. Good choice. And, Reggie then had some involvement at GameStop, working on the university level, with students, doing Q&As, teaching, bringing some of his wisdom in the industry and from different industries because, he used to work at Pizza Hut, pretty high up there before Nintendo. So it's cool to still see him around, relevant. On Twitter, Reggie has a pretty good presence in the video game community, still comments and responds to people, talks about anniversaries and celebrations, does interviews, was recently on a panel with some Xbox folk. So it's neat to see that he's going to be a presenter. What could he be presenting? Could this be an awesome segue, a cool way of, something internally that is already known by the Game Awards of a Nintendo title that is winning, has been voted on by their panel, and is going to be the recipient of an award. And Reggie, handing this award to that Nintendo recipient, which, might be Doug Bowser, for instance, and then, having this moment, which would be really cool to see, and tied in with a video game announcement of Nintendo's. Even though Reggie's not, a Nintendo employee anymore, it would be a pretty special moment to still have him on because he loves the company. He grew up over the years as a gamer, playing on the SNES, playing on the PlayStation 2 and Xbox before, getting into the world of Nintendo as an employee, as NOA president, through the GameCube, Wii U era, 3DS, etc. And yeah, he'll always be remembered by fans for his awesome E3 presentations, his Nintendo Direct presence, and yeah, really cool person. I've had the pleasure of meeting him many times over various E3s. Always stand up, really kind person, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to be presenting. Now, that's just my own thought. Like, that would be cool if it was a Nintendo game that won an award and that happens to be the award given to that company. But it could be anything. Still cool to see him, regardless. And that's what I wanted to show you. So we've got Imagine Dragons coming. We've got Sting coming. Going to perform musically, that is. Not the wrestler Sting, but artist, musician. And that'll be neat. We've got Reggie. We've got a week left. What are we going to see? Talk about your hype. I want to hear it. Okay, and next up, it's kind of a short day on video game news at the time of this recording, but we've got to talk about our Famitsu Sales occupying week 48, 2021, from November 22nd to November 28th. Thank you to Chris1964 from the InstallBaseForum.com forums for making this list look nice and neat, as always. All right, at number 1, for Nintendo Switch, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl had 355,046 physical copies moved. That's a 75% drop. That's what's to be expected of a Pokemon game. It's not bad though. If you're sticking, in the high 70s for this type of title, and you're also launching so high past 1 million, and that's your drop, that's fine. This is also physical only. Digital, it's clearly well over 2 million in Japan. At 2 is Mario Party Superstars. Small percent drop, not bad. Only by 12. 35,012 units is what it did last week. At number 3 is a new entry for Nintendo Switch by Konami, Power Pro Kun Pocket R, with 23,360. At 4 is Animal Crossing New Horizons with 22,746, a whopping 104% increase over the previous week. At 5 is Ring Fit Adventure for Nintendo Switch with 12,358 copies. At 6 is Minecraft, also on Nintendo Switch, 11,905. At 7, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with 11,139 units sold. At 8 is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, moving 11,010. 9 is Shin Megami Tensei 5 with 9,476. I'm very happy to see this one hang in there. In the top 10 still, a 58% drop on week 3 from its week 2 self isn't bad. That's kind of in line with SMT4 back on 3DS, several years ago. The game is doing all right in Japan, and this is probably with a little bit of a physical stock shortage on the cartridge, but probably not overwhelmingly so, 3 weeks in. So with digital, we could be looking at a 250,000 seller by now. At 10, Pokemon Sword and Shield. This is a cool one because it's a game that's a couple of years old, but thanks to the popularity and excitement behind Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, we're seeing Sword and Shield jump 19%, selling 8,920 copies. So props on that. 4.2 million plus in Japan alone. Massive results. I can't wait for a couple of things. On the NPD side of things, which we will have in a few more days, courtesy of Matt Piscatella from the NPD group on Twitter, we'll see just how well did all of these systems do, not with exact numbers, but overall how well did they do for the month of November. And then the big one, sometime late January, more likely early February, we will get Nintendo's quarter financial results worldwide from October 1st through December 31st of 2021, and probably just have some massive updates, like just some staggering updates we will have on Zelda, Mario Odyssey, Smash Brothers, Pokemon, new games in there, Metroid Dread. Where do they sit now on the top sellers of Nintendo Switch? How many units of hardware moved in those 3 months for Nintendo Switch? It's going to be exciting. Okay, but last and not least, on the hardware side of things, by the way, software was a perfect 10 for Nintendo Switch. Nothing had a single spot on that list. Not Sony, not Microsoft, just Nintendo. Hardware side of things, kind of interesting too. Nintendo Switch came in at first with 122,573 units sold, down a fair amount from last week's 167, also down from last year's 145 by 23,000. PS5 moving 8,987 units. Props to Sony on throwing over their double of what they did for the last week. Xbox Series, you can see, went down to 633, quite a bit down from the 3,400 last week, but this was also Black Friday time in North America, so Microsoft is determining, where do we send our units? Okay, this week we need every last Xbox Series S and X that we can in the United States. 3DS next at 477, PlayStation 4 in last at 84. If you want to look at last year to date versus this year to date, for Nintendo Switch side of things, at this point last year, Nintendo Switch was at 4.981 million. Nintendo Switch this year is at 4.808 million. So Team 2021 is falling behind. It looks like part of that has to do with stock. I want to believe that if there were a lot more Nintendo Switch OLED models on the market in Japan, they would sell higher, but you wouldn't see also selling higher base Nintendo Switch and base Nintendo Switch Lites, unless if there's a stock problem on that side of thing too. We don't know exactly, right? But just because OLEDs would sell more doesn't mean these would sell more. Could they in fact sell less? Therefore, the number would be comparable to what it is. That might be so. OLED's not available in high quantities, so people are buying regular and light. Just because OLED became more available, some of those sales from this would not be sold. On the flip side though, maybe some people that are buying these specifically wanted the light or wanted a regular model, and that's why they bought them regardless of whether OLED was available or not. That is certainly a possibility too, because people buy for different reasons. Some people just don't want to spend that extra $50 or yen equivalent or 150, right? So they wanted the light. So I still think that if more OLED was available, we would have had a greater amount than 122,573, but not tremendously so, because you wouldn't see any more light or regular models sold unless that they also are out of stock, but that's another topic. So overall, pretty solid. Will Team 2021 catch up and win in the end? Even if they don't, it's going to be just a couple 100,000 down, and that's not bad. When you're looking at nearly 6 million consoles sold, and one's at 5.8, one's at 5.95, or 6 and 5.8, or 5.9 and 5.7, whatever the case may be, you're hardly complaining if you're Nintendo, and hopefully their stock situation is better for 2022. But shout outs to them on really delivering to all the markets. We saw massive sales in the UK, and we got reports out of Europe that Nintendo Switch did extremely well during the Black Friday season. We heard a lot of retailers talk very highly on Nintendo Switch in North America. We hear that it looks like the single most sold individual SKU of a system on Black Friday itself in the United States was the Xbox Series S. Now, that does not mean that Series S sold more than Nintendo Switch Lite, Nintendo Switch OLED model combined on Black Friday alone, but it means single SKU console, Series S was the biggest seller, outselling more than PlayStation 5, for instance. Does that include PS5 physical and digital? On that case, probably. Whereas Lite, OLED, and regular, they're seen as kind of three different SKUs. Just like as Series S and Series X are seen as two different, whereas PS5 and PS5 non-disc version, digital only edition, are seen as the same console, just two different form factors. Although you could argue that the Nintendo Switch is three different form factors, but it's a little bit different, with that system, due to one of them specifically not having, any TV connection, and the other one being a premium model. It's kind of like PS4 and PS4 Pro back in the day. They kind of split the two. If you're talking about single unit sales, which one did better, you'd have a division. If you're talking overall as a console family, you would lump, PS4 and PS4 Pro together, or Xbox Series S, or Xbox One X, Xbox One S, I should say, based together, So it depends on how you look at it. We'll find out soon from NPD Group Then again, that's just Black Friday. It doesn't count the whole November, but it's going to be exciting. So if Xbox did win overall on Black Friday, extra props, because that's very impressive. Like if you combined Xbox Series S and Series X together and that beat out all three Nintendo Switch makes, then very cool. But I don't know if that's the case. We're going to find out more. Also, I realized as I'm looking at the camera, this hand's got blue nail polish on it and this one doesn't. And that's because my daughter my daughter decided to paint my nails yesterday, and I kind of forgot that they were on. So yeah, if you happen to catch that during the video and were wondering what's up with his nails, well, now you know. So that's going to do it today. Hope you all have a good time. Enjoy the rest of your day. I will keep you posted. When I get my Game Awards badge in the mail, I'll make another video unboxing it. I think that'll be pretty cool, and I'm looking forward to it. All right. Take it easy, everybody. Bye.